I'm going back to LA this week for the first time since I left in August of 2020. It's been, God, what is it? I don't know, 15, 16 months. And it's weird going back. I'm excited. I'm excited to see all my friends or some of my friends. And I'm doing it because I'm doing a comedy show at the Fourth Wall on November 13th at 10:30 p.m. See, I remembered it. Tickets are $5. The link's in the bio. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I moved there. I hope you come. I really do hope you come. But that's not why I'm doing this podcast. I moved to LA in January of 2011, and I went there to work on America's Funniest Home Videos and hopefully become an editor, work in movies and TV. And I happened to find comedy podcasts, which helped me connect with some of my coworkers who became my friends. And that led to my first comedy show in LA. Not even me doing stand-up, but me just being a fan of it. I was always a fan of it. And the first show I ever went to was at the Hollywood Improv, and it was Ari Shaffir doing This Is Not Happening way before it became a TV show. And I remember the theme of that night was bad bosses or bad work stories. I think it was bad bosses. And Joey was supposed to be on the show. Actually, I tweeted at him like way before I ever met him, and because he wasn't on the show, he had to miss it. And I said, "Oh, I'm disappointed I didn't get to see you. I hope the TV show goes well," because I think he was shooting a TV show. And he actually responded. He said, "Thank you. I'll see you soon," or something. But I remember there was a comedian there named Kyle Kinane, and he had an album out that my buddy at work and I listened to nonstop called Life of the Party or Life of a Party, something like that. I think it was his first album. And now he's the voice of Comedy Central, like literally like in between shows, he's the voice of Comedy Central. Has a bunch of specials, very funny comedian, but he has this joke on that album where he asked someone in the audience, or he asked the audience if they're old enough that they've realized their dreams aren't going to come true anymore. And I've been thinking about that joke a lot because I'm calling this show in LA my retirement show, which is sort of tongue-in-cheek. I'm not retiring from any. There's some people who say, "Oh, I'll never retire. Even if I won the lottery, I'd still work." I'm going to retire as soon as physically possible. I don't care. I'll do something, but I will retire immediately. I will retire so fast. But I say I'm retiring from comedy because I'm just being, frankly, I'm being honest with myself. I do think I'm funny for the amount of time that I've done it, and I could keep doing it, but it takes so much work to do at a high level, and I respect it so much, and I did it for two and a quarter years, something like that. Almost every night, I did it as hard as I could, and I really do love it. I do enjoy it. But even when I was doing it that amount, I just knew I didn't want to be broke for 10 years at a minimum. And I know, but like even that shows me that right now I'm making the right decision. And I don't feel like a dream is dying, because I will still do stand up occasionally. It's a lot different in LA than it is here in Boston. I live an hour outside of Boston. It takes me an hour to get to a mic. I have to wait 3 or 4 hours to do 4 minutes. I have a girlfriend now. Like it just doesn't. And it's not even before I met her. I don't want to blame her. I'm not blaming her. I'm in trouble now. Even before I met her. That just is not. It was so much fun in LA going to the Fourth Wall, going to open mics, because in 20, 30 minutes, I could be at somewhere and do a 5-minute set and then go do another one, or stay at the same place and do a couple, Or if I'm going to drive an hour, I get to do 10, 12 minutes. Or that's only occasionally. To do stand-up where I live about an hour outside of Boston. It's about an hour, 45 minutes. There are a couple mics close by, but you have to wait 3 or 4 hours to do 4 minutes. I just don't have it. I'm being what Kyle's joke means to me isn't so much that my dreams are dying. To me, I took comedy further than I had ever planned to. I got to open for Joey and for Steve Simone and Sam Tripoli and so many people. I got to do every stage at the Comedy Store. I got a standing ovation at the Comedy Store. I got to do comedy in Denver and Austin and San Diego and San Francisco and New York. New York City was awesome. And the coolest thing I ever got to do in stand-up was perform at the Wilbur Theater. And it was cool. It was amazing because it was the Wilbur Theater in front of 1,100 people 2 times. But what made it was I got to do it and my mom was there. And I heard her laugh, which was just so cool. It really was. I should have retired that night, to be honest. But the reason why I think I'm making the right decision is not because I don't necessarily know if dreams die. I think some can. You know, if I had been doing stand up for 10 years and no one wanted to book me and I was broke, I could do stand up, and who knows, if I put a solid 10 years in, maybe I would be good enough. But what the way I'm looking at it is my dreams are changing. And I think that, to me, is what happens when you get older. I mean, everything else changes, right? Your taste in women or men might change. Your taste in food, what you want to do for work, what kind of TV shows you like. Any tastes change. And the weird thing is mine really haven't. I just want to paint a picture for you. Today, I was watching the Patriots game. I had sex. I was eating snacks. And I was in a bed. Like, that has been my dream for ever. And yeah, I love the girl, and that's great. And this, I'm sure she's gonna laugh at that. But what I'm realizing is, especially after this last year of, living with my parents, not where I thought I'd be, applying to jobs, and we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But I got, last night we had a party. My aunt and uncle had their 50th wedding anniversary. My cousin had gotten married, and my brother just got married. And we had a family party for it. And my 2 cousins were probably close to 20 years older than me, something like that, 15 to 20 years older than me. And when I was a little kid, they were the coolest people in the world to me. Both of them, they're brothers. And I saw them last night, and they both had their kids with them and their wives with them. And I tried to say it the right way to one of them, and he wasn't pissed off, but it came out incorrectly. But I tried to say, when he was my age that I am now, I was a little kid, and I just thought how cool he was, how great he was, and to me now, I don't feel as adult as I thought they were. I don't feel as together or as fun. And I just but I'm starting to. And whether it's the person that I'm dating or the work that I'm doing, that's all great. And it but what really is important, at least to me, is just being like, I think the word happiness gets overused, because if you're always if I feel like if I'm always chasing happiness, right? I'll go from girl to girl. Not that I've never gone from girl to girl. It takes me like 4 years in between girlfriends. But there's always like greener pastures, it seems like. What I'm really honestly looking to achieve, and I'm getting close, is like content, which sounds less than happy. But to me, that doesn't mean I'm not going to work hard, and I'm not going to try to do better at things and get happier. But to me, the difference between happiness and contentment is happiness fades, at least in my experience. Whether it's with a relationship and things are great one day and then the next day you can't stand each other, or a job the same way. It's why I got so fat. Food makes me happy. I love figuring out what I'm going to eat. I love getting it. I love setting it up in front of a TV. I love the taste. But it's fleeting. The food goes away. You don't feel any better. And then you're hungry again in a few hours. And between everything that I've done the last year, getting healthier, starting to date someone, spending a lot more time with my parents, I'm feeling very content. And stand up, the way I was doing stand up out here was not helping with that. Driving an hour and being alone, and then sitting in a bar full of some great people. I met a lot of cool comics in Boston. But the thing with open mics, and you should do one if you haven't done it. The thing with open mics, and it's not even with open mics, it's just with people, is there's a lot of not even bad people, but they're like it's more like they're sad. Like I'm recording this on Sunday, November 7th. I don't even know the full story because I don't need to. I don't want to. But there was just a concert this weekend, and someone was going and stabbing someone with a needle. Do you think that person was happy or content? Like, you think someone I had a great day. Let's go kill 8 people. And I'm not saying that comics want to kill people, but there's something about that. If I was very lucky, and that's why I'm having who I'm having on my show in LA, because the people like Eric, who's coming, Luke, Rob, there's a bunch of great comics coming. They made the night more fun. They made stand-up more fun. And when you don't have that, when you're sitting there struggling and sitting through mics or driving to a show, if you don't have people around you that make things better, it can be a downer. And that's the same thing with anything. Like, have you ever been in a relationship and for the first month or two you have a ton of sex and you don't really know each other, but you're like, this is great. And then you start talking, you're like, you are just a bummer of a person. Or they might think the same thing about you. that joke to me, that's why I think stand-up is so cool. Is because we're all trying to make people laugh. But I think the best stand-ups, the jokes come from a place of truth, and hopefully it makes you think about it, even if it's in a funny way. The reason why jokes work, in my opinion, and it's the reason why I've never put up, and I will probably never put up, stand-up material on YouTube, is the entire reason stand-up works, for the most part, is shock. It doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be, I killed a baby and all those I hate that kind of stand-up. But the reason why a joke works is because you're not expecting that to happen. The words that someone is saying, you wouldn't expect someone to say. And I think if it's done well, stand-up comedy, even at its silliest, can make you think about something. Or even if it's not that, even if it's literally props, who knows? Even if it takes your mind off of other things that you were thinking about, I think it's beautiful. I really do love stand-up comedy, and I always will love stand-up comedy. But I'm very comfortable with the idea that I might not be a headlining comedian. But with the confidence that I learned doing stand-up, the friends that I made doing stand-up, and the memories that I made doing stand-up, even though I only did it for like 2.5 years, are going to be a huge part of my life forever. I like genuinely believe that it was amazing for me to do stand-up, and that I think whether it's stand-up or wood carving, or I forget, God damn it, someone said it a night or two ago, that no one has hobbies anymore. And I'm sure a lot of people have said that. And I know that if you're listening to this, you probably listen to a lot of comedy podcasts. And I think because you probably listen to a lot of podcasts from very well-known comedians, they don't talk down on, but I've heard a lot of comics talk about, hobbyists, people who just do stand-up for fun, and you could be like, oh, well, they hate them, or it's not worth it to do it for fun. And I disagree. I think the most famous comedians obviously put a lot of work in, hopefully. And that's great, and they're the best in the world at it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with doing stand-up for fun. And I think you should try it. I think everyone should try it. Because there's not, even if it's a crowd of 3 people who are barely paying attention, making people laugh is it's good for you. Like they say, laughter is a good medicine, but it's like making someone come, but you can do it it's not cheating. I can make 1 million people come, and laugh, and I'm not gonna get in trouble. And I know some people say, oh, I'm not funny, or I'm not ready, I'm gonna write all these jokes, or I'm scared. Listen, the place I'm doing my show on Saturday is in a 7-Eleven parking lot next to a dumpster where homeless people live. And by the way, those homeless people do open mics. I did an open mic at a library, and I'm sure I've told you guys this, where right before me, a legitimate full homeless person, no disrespect, had his bags, went up before me, and did way better than I did. Like homeless people do open mics. I get that, and it's good to feel nervous, and I understand that feeling. But in reality, open mics are like the least judgmental place. The comics will judge you. Yeah, if you tell a shitty joke, they'll probably not laugh and they might make fun of you for it, but everyone at an open mic is equal. At a regular comedy show, they have the headliner, they have the feature. Maybe you're just doing a guest set. Maybe you're not even really on the show. People are getting paid differently. At an open mic, everyone gets the same amount of time, has the same opportunity to make anybody laugh. And let's just play this out. Let's just imagine you bomb for 2 to 3, 5, whatever minutes and make 0 people laugh, which, by the way, has happened. I've seen it and I've done it. Literally nothing is going to happen. You'll feel shitty, but you're not going to lose your job. No one's going to break up with you. They might make fun of you. Oh, that was a shitty joke or whatever. And then not even really. They'll probably talk about you behind your back, which sounds mean, but you won't know what's happening. But there's so much good that can come from doing stand-up, in my opinion. It will give you confidence if you don't have it. It will teach you to be social. You'll become more creative. You can help people. That sounds crappy to say. Like, I did shows at rehab facilities, at drug treatment centers. Frankly, until the medicine kicked in and they fell asleep. But they had a good time until then. I really think you should do stand-up. And if that's the one thing I can give back is telling you to start stand-up, that is a good thing, because shout out to Andrew Dice Clay. He was the reason why I started. I wasn't going to do it. People had asked me for years. And the first time Dice was on the podcast, we sat next to each other. And after the episode finished, he said, "Have you ever done stand-up?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, maybe you should try it." And because of that, I went to the Fourth Wall. I had done a couple sets with Augustino and Joey at a bar in Reseda a couple times, but I didn't really start until I went to the Fourth Wall in like November or December of, it's either 2018 or 2019. No. It was either 2017 or 2018, I guess. I don't remember. Probably 2017. Wow. Yeah, I should be in my 4th year. That is very weird. But I went to that Fourth Wall. Eric brought me up, I'm pretty sure, for my first time there, at least. It was my 6th time. And there's no place that I would rather finish my stand-up career than at the Fourth Wall in North Hollywood, California, next to homeless people, dumpsters. And if you come, let me just tell you, use the bathroom before. You know how, I'm trying to think, you know how like there's Fenway Park or Wrigley Field or Lambeau, whatever sport you like. It's like a venue that is world famous. The bathroom at the Fourth Wall is a world famous dirty bathroom. The Fourth Wall is a magical place. I would recommend you pee next to the dumpster. Just personally. Everything else is great. You might want to pee outside. But it is next to a police station, so be careful. I really appreciate you watching and listening to this podcast. I really appreciate you supporting me and being my friend. And I hope you are content. I hope, whether that's elated, happy, which I don't think is something you can maintain, but I hope you're content. I really do love you, and thank you so much for watching and listening to this week's What Was I Thinking?